This is the Horse Radio Network. This is episode 72 of the Stable Scoop Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network. 10 most influential horsewomen. Please support our sponsors as they make this show possible. Equestrian Collections brings the whole universe of equestrian shopping to your fingertips. And the Horse Radio Network. You can visit the Horse Radio Network and all of the shows at horseradionetwork.com.
Welcome to the Stable Scoop, with weekly shows delivered right to you. With Helena and Glenn the Geek, live from the stable, it's every week. They'll bring you the news through hail or high water, while using their tails as their own fly swatters. So sit on down and laugh till you poop, cause it's time again for Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop.
This is Glenn the Geek.
And I'm Tess Finetti, and this is the Stable Scoop Radio Show.
Well, hello, Tess.
Hi, Glenn.
How are you doing down there in the South?
Oh, it's cold.
Yeah, I know. It's cold all over the South right now, and it's like we should be warmer than 17 degrees.
I agree.
Now, you're where? You're in the Carolinas, right?
I'm actually in extreme North Georgia.
Okay.
Actually, it's called the Tri-State Area, and it's where Tennessee and North Carolina and Georgia converge.
Oh, gotcha.
It's no man's land.
Yeah.
It's an hour from everywhere.
I was going to say, you're an hour to the Walmart.
Yes, I am. Nearly.
Well, we should explain that we have you on because, Helena, you were scheduled to be our guest today, and now you're filling the co-hosting role, and I thank you for that. Helena.
And I'm honored. Yeah,
well, we appreciate it. Helena had to be out this week, and we're sorry that she couldn't be here. She was so looking forward to talking to our guest today. And, because it's, the person that we're having on today who is somebody that most of the people in the United States know by the event she puts on.
Absolutely.
And it's just the coolest event. We talked about it last year, and we really promoted it for her before the show last year. And this year we get to have her on, and I think that's just really cool. But we should say you're Tess Finetti, and you are Horse South Magazine, and that can be found at horsesouth.com. And it's an online magazine, right?
It is now. It was a print magazine up until fall of last year, and
wow, isn't that true of most magazines, huh? But that's
print
a good
media.
thing.
It's dicey.
Yeah, well, you know what? Too, there's no reason to kill the trees.
That's right.
You have that cool online magazine where you can flip the pages and you can see videos, and you have the modern technology there, and that's where this is all going. And all magazines are going to be that way, no matter what genre they are.
I agree.
Don't you think so? In the next year or two, they're all going to be. You won't get paper magazines at home anymore.
I agree, and I think that it's even in more demand. People, it's for the horse industry, especially because when I printed the magazine, if I wanted to do an article on a friend of mine, say like Chris Cox, and I wanted to put some of his tips in, well, I can't embed video in a print magazine, but I can embed video of his. How to disengage the hindquarters and why that's important in the online version. And that is just paramount to understanding what to do when you're out there with your horse.
Well, that's great. And I know that, you're interested here, and we're going to be working on you carrying the Stable Scoop show on your website. And that's all the cool stuff that modern technology allows us to do, is to share content and to have you on the show today to talk about something that you're doing in your magazine. So you're really new media now. You're not old media anymore.
I think that I am. I think I'm new.
That's right. You know what? And that's great, because we are too. So, that's part of what new media is all about, is being able to share content. I don't have the time to do a magazine. You don't have the time to do radio, but if we work together, that's what makes new media so powerful.
I think so too, Glenn. I do.
Now, you tell us about your magazine, how to get started. It's called Horse South Magazine, and it's really a lifestyle magazine, which is why I like it. It's a little different than the others.
Yes, it is. It is a little bit different. That's probably because I'm a little bit different.
That's what I've heard.
I started out in the newspaper industry, cub reporter, but grew up loving horses. Just a horse crazy little girl, like every other girl you've probably had on this show. And when I was working at my hometown newspaper, a lead came across my desk for a local horse rescue. And if you don't mind, I'll plug them real quick. It's SaveTheHorses.org. And I went out to the rescue to do an article about the formation of that particular rescue. It actually had been a rescue for many years, but it had not been an actual nonprofit. And they were turning it into a nonprofit. And this is all about 11 years ago. And that sort of got me back into horses. After, getting out of college and doing the adult thing, I sort of gravitated away from it. But going out to the rescue got me back into it. And so I started purchasing magazines to read and re-educate myself, or educate myself at all. I guess I just thought I was educated. I did think I was educated, and I'll assure you I was not. I got
you're being a little bit humble there, the girl with the doctorate, right?
Well, I know about American literature, not about horses.
Yeah. See, I did a little research on you, too.
But, so yes, and that's for another day. I'll tell you how that became, because it's an accidental thing, a totally accidental thing.
You got the doctorate in the mail by accident?
No, but I just took all these American literature classes and sat down with the counselor one day, and she was like, well, if you'll do this and this and this and write a dissertation, you can have a doctorate.
You were reading the books anyway, right?
I am the accidental doctor.
Well,
and hardly anyone knows that about me.
Well, now everybody knows.
Oh, boy. But,
now there's going to be expectations.
I know. Now the bar is raised. Thanks so much, Glenn.
You're welcome. That's what I'm good
anyway, at. I was reading, I won't mention the name of the horse rag, but I was reading a horse magazine, sitting on the front porch. I'd been married to my husband, Kent, for probably only 6 months. And so he didn't know me very well. And I was miffed. I was like, they never feature anybody from the South in these stupid horse magazines. And we have the Kentucky Derby, and Florida has more horses per capita than anywhere else, and blah, blah, blah. And he went, well, start your own magazine. So I did.
He didn't know what he was saying, did he?
Yeah, and he has
he needs tips on being a horse husband. And the first one is to keep your mouth shut. That's the first one.
Amen. It has been a curse and a blessing. But that's how it started. Ignorance on fire, I like to call it.
Well, and the cool part about your magazine is it really, well, tell everybody what it is. It's a lifestyle magazine. It's different than some of the other magazines that everybody has gotten in the mail for years.
Right. Well, the biggest thing with Horse South is people, and their passion for horses is what binds them. It's not necessarily that you ride Western or I ride English, or you have a Pasofino and I have a quarter horse. It's that we both have crap on our shoes, and we both, have to get up when it's freezing to go make sure that the water trough's not frozen over, and we all have to go get our hay or have it delivered, and we all spend our money on the same things. So it's that passion that binds us. And what I like to do is tell the story of people so that you can feel a camaraderie, whether it be someone you've not heard of before, which is a part of the evolution of the 50 most influential women. Is it wasn't about people being famous, because there will be some people you've never heard of on the list. It's more about what binds us together and what makes the horse so special to us, and what we've done for the horse. And what we do for horses, because we're all crazy, obviously.
And that's interesting, and that's why I liked you when I first talked to you, because it really, you have the same synergy that we really do here on the Stable Scoop show. We always say that I am more interested in the horse people, and Helena's more interested in the horse, which makes us a pretty good team.
Right.
But we're both interested in the stories that go around them. You know, we don't talk serious training techniques here. That's not what we're about. We're really about the stories and getting the word out to people that, you know, maybe ride Western, that this week we'll learn a little bit about English, you know, that kind of thing. So we're all about, you know, our mission statement was uniting the horse world one show at a time. We're all about bringing the horse world together and reducing the fragments that we have.
I agree.
And you're doing that too, which I think is kind of neat. Now, you did mention what we're going to talk about today that you started in your magazine is a feature called the 50 Most Influential Horsewomen in America. And
yes,
you have 10 that you have done this year, so we thought we'd go over the top 10. But first, tell us why you did this and what was the criteria to get on the list.
Okay, well, the reason I did this is because, as you well know, the horse industry is made up of mostly women now. And
90%.
I think, yes, 90%. It's a good gig for you, Glenn. Really,
it is. I wish I thought of this when I was a teenager. If I knew what I know now, I would have been in Pony Club. I would have had so many girls. I so regret that.
That's what I keep telling my 12-year-old son.
Yes.
Ride the horses, ride
I'll talk to him.
But the criterion, it seems like there would be this, big list of, things that you have to meet. But it really boils down to the main title of the thing. You need to be influential. You need to have done something to have influenced this industry or its people in one way or another. And obviously more so than the rest of the many thousands of horsewomen out there. But the biggest thing that was most important to me is to make sure that we didn't just recognize people that you've heard of right off the bat. That of course we did do that because there are many, many horsewomen that are household names that of course we want to recognize. But there's also some very important behind the scenes people that people don't know their name, or if they maybe saw it in print once but didn't realize there was an actual person behind that, and what makes them tick, and why they do what they do every day, why they get up every morning, and why they work so hard at their jobs. So
we're going to go over, I think what you're doing here is great, and I don't know that it's been done in quite the way you're doing it anywhere else. And we're going to go over these top 10, and of course, many of these have been on our shows at one point or another, and we know them personally. So that'll be exciting to chat about them a little bit too. But before we do that, we do have to take one break here in today's show for a commercial message from Equestrian Collections. We'll be right back. We wanted to speak to you today about the huge sale now going on at Equestrian Collections. They have their huge end-of-the-year sale going on right now at equestriancollections.com. Visit Equestrian Collections now to check out all the fantastic specials at up to 70% off. They have some great sale prices that can be found on many name brands, including Mountain Horse. You will find Mountain Horse jackets, shirts, hats, and gloves on sale now while supplies last. See sale details on the website at equestriancollections.com. And from everyone at Equestrian Collections, Happy New Year. Visit them at equestriancollections.com for their big end-of-the-year sale. Speaking of influential horsewomen, Chris that runs Equestrian Collections is one of the pioneers in the retail world today. I agree. She has built that company, and it is growing like crazy, and she just is doing a fantastic job. She's a go-getter, and she understands new media better than all of us. I think so, too. And I'd like to include her at some point, honestly. Well, you should, because she's... and I knew her from back when she was just doing 1824, when she was just doing what we called the oversized clothes, the clothes for larger bodies. And we used to send business to her all the time when I had my tack shop back in the 1990s. Wow. So yeah, that's how we first met, and we've known each other ever since. And she's just a wonderful lady. But let's start on your list, if you don't mind. All right. So number 10 on the list is Susan Ebert. And not a lot of people have heard of Susan Ebert, but if you pick up a Western English Today, or at one point in time the magazine Cowboys and Indians, that's all kind of the same company. Susan is the editor and sometimes like associate publisher of those magazines. But the reason I picked her is because of Western English Today, which is a B2B
magazine, a business-to-business magazine.
Yeah, we used to get it when I had the retail store. Yep.
Right. So, but people that don't know, if people that own a tax store get a copy of Western English Today, and it has all the new stuff in it, all the stuff that you might want to order in the upcoming year. It features all the new manufacturers and trends, and it helps the tax stores out with merchandising ideas and that type of thing. And Susan just works her little tail off, going all over the place, even abroad and to every market show, in search of the next cool thing. And she's very, very passionate about what she does. And she is so influential because when she puts something in that magazine, her heart is behind it, and she typically believes in whatever it is, or she loves it, or she's identified with it in some way. And then all those tax stores all over the United States and even abroad see it, and they order it. And if that's not influential, I don't know what is.
Well, it is, and you can actually find it at wetoday.com. And she has her website there, and she does do a great job with it. And anybody can go to that website and check it out. It's not restricted to just retailers. So if you want to, just hop on over. So that's good. Well, good for Susan, and I like her even better. She's right here in my neighborhood. In Kentucky, right here in the Bluegrass.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, she is. She is a Bluegrass girl.
All right,
She
good job,
sure is.
Susan. And number 9 is Jody Hendrickson.
Yes, and what a cowgirl Jody Hendrickson is. Not only is she somewhat like Susan in that she's the publisher of the Western Lifestyle Retailer, but she also has her own website called FringeCowgirl.com. And she is a roping, riding, just heck of a cowgirl, mama to LaRue and Scout, a wife, and she's just an all-around absolute rock star. And she and Susan, I featured at the same time in the magazine because they do similar things. And Jody, I think, kind of blows me away because she's like 34 years old. And she, and at that age, to be in the position that she's in with the company that she works for, and starting her own website, I think she's just an inspiration that you can absolutely have a career in the horse industry, and it doesn't have to necessarily be training horses or what people consider mainstream horse careers. That you can live the dream, and that's why I think she's influential. Because
I totally agree. And we get a lot of questions. We hear from teenagers all the time that say, "I want to be in the horse world," and they're always thinking that they want to ride professionally. Well, there's so few of us that end up doing that as a total number that you really have to take a look at all the other things that are out there in the horse world. I mean, look at us. We're sitting here doing radio shows,
Absolutely.
You're doing a magazine. You never thought you'd be doing a magazine when you got your doctorate. So,
no.
And then...
Actually, I was doing the magazine when I got my doctorate.
Oh, were you?
I was. That came later, way later.
Well, that's Jody Hendrickson, and actually you can go to Fringe, Fringe, cowgirl.com, and you can see her website as well, which is very cowgirlish.
It is. It is all about the cowgirl.
Well, and speaking of cowgirls, I mean, you have the ultimate in cowgirls next.
I do. Templeton Thompson. And Templeton is a dear friend of mine.
Well, can I qualify it to say that if you meet Templeton once, she's a dear friend of yours?
Yes, you can absolutely say that.
Templeton she's been on the show. I have to, just let everybody know. Templeton's been on the show a couple of times. We just had her on a little while ago. She's co-hosted the show. She's a good friend of the Horse Radio Network. But go ahead. You knew her before I did, and I just love Templeton.
Well, for anyone who hasn't heard, Templeton is a singer-songwriter who started in Nashville like every other singer-songwriter, just sort of hoping that one day that she could travel around the United States singing from the back of her horse. And her motto is dream big, work hard, have faith, and that's what she does now. She travels around the United States singing about horses from the back of her horse and lifting people's spirits. Her music is country, if you had to classify it in a typical genre, but I call it feel-good music because you cannot listen to a Templeton Thompson song and not feel better afterwards. And she is just one of those people that literally has a light around them.
Yes.
She comes up to you and you instantly are lifted. And her husband Sam is the same way. They are the bee's knees. And I named her an influential woman because of her music and because of her light.
Well, and you know what? We call her a walking angel because she just is. You're absolutely right about her. And, we can't say, we've said a lot of nice things about Templeton on here, and we couldn't say enough.
I absolutely identify.
Yeah, and I'm so glad she's in your top 10. She just so deserves to be, and she's really coming into her own now. You can, we'll just remind everybody, you can find her website at TempletonThompson.com or PlanetCowgirl.com. And I just wanted to say too that you don't have to memorize all these websites. We'll have them in our show notes at StableScoop.com. We'll list the top 10 there, and we'll also put links to Horse South magazine and also to all of the websites for the various influential women that we're talking about today.
Awesome.
Good job, Tempe.
Yay. So we're on 7, right? I don't count backwards well.
I think this might be even 6.
Okay.
6, yeah.
Melissa Pierce is a person that not too many people have heard of, and she is just a different, really interesting lady, and a lot of people would look at her website and look at what she does and sort of deem it, when I wrote about it, some people would deem it metaphysical hooey. That was my own term I came up with. But what she does, she has a website called Touched by a Horse, and she also has this inspirational deck of cards that you can order, and they are from her horse wisdom. And I love Melissa because she, in so many ways, is sort of like Tempe in that she just has a light around her. And even if you don't buy into, really spiritual stuff, even if that's not your bag, Melissa just is amazing with what she's written on these cards. The idea is that you get the cards and you pull one out every day and you read them. And one day it might talk about courage or faith, and not necessarily, when I say faith, I don't want to wax religious here, because the last thing I want to do is talk about religion or politics, but faith in yourself, right? Belief in yourself that you can do something, that you can transcend a fear, or you can just get done whatever you need to get done. And one of my favorite quotes that she says is, our lives are shaped by unforeseen circumstances. Our being human means we choose our own responses and reactions to them, often maturing as we grow. Through friendships and with guidance, our own truth is formed as we step into our destiny. Horses can be your dearest guides, most profound teachers, and sweet, trusted confidants on life's journey. Blessed are those of us who experience the whispers from a horse's heart. And, just wow, I just got chill bumps when I read that.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why she's on the list.
And she's, we talk about faith and all that stuff, but she's more inspirational in nature.
Absolutely.
And just helping you deal with you, and we all need that. So
Absolutely.
And that's touchedbyahorse.com.
Touchedbyahorse.com. Melissa Pierce. Melissa with 1 L.
Okay. And the next person I know, I was in equestrian retail for a long time. So I know Carrie Kent from Carrots, of course, who has really made herself a name in clothing by putting little carrot bags attached to them, little carrot seed bags. I mean, it was just the most clever thing back then, and now look at her.
Look at her. I know. She is an innovator. I mean, here is a lady who started out in the swimsuit industry and went, hey, I should make pants out of this stuff. That would be so awesome for riding. And just went and did it. And she is an innovator, not only in with her own company, but she just digs in and gets involved with the market shows and the industry as a whole, and has really been a guiding force in equestrian retail, and just business in our industry as a whole, in the ancillary services that people tend to forget about and not make a part of our industry. So many people forget that, we touch so many other things. I mean, when you go into clothing manufacturing, you're out of the horse industry. You're into you're into fabric. You're into grommets. You're into
right.
You touch everything, and so that's why I picked Carrie. I mean, I think we're over 20 years now that Carrots has been.
Yeah, she's been around a long time.
Rocking and rolling.
And, I would like to say on behalf of all horse husbands everywhere, we love Carrots. It makes going to horse shows so much more worthwhile.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And I have to digress a little bit here and say I also picked Carrie because I love my Carrots bootleg riding pants. If you look on my Facebook, you see I run in my riding pants. I even wear my high heels with my riding pants. They are awesome.
Yes, and that I'm all for Carrie. I've known her for probably 15 years when she had that business really small and growing it, and she's just done a fantastic job doing that. And really, she did change the fashion in the horse world.
Absolutely.
On the English side, anyway, and now working toward the Western side. But she changed it. She was responsible for changing it.
She absolutely did.
I mean, before that, it was one or two different pairs of breeches, and that was it. Same material, same cut.
Yeah.
And she made them. Yeah, she just went against the flow and changed it. So
absolutely,
good job, Carrie.
Absolutely.
And then the next one we've had on the show several times, and is a good friend. Her and Heidi, her assistant. Heidi Nyland. We just love them. They've done tips for me on the Horse Tip Daily Show, and what a sweetie.
They are both Heidi and Julie are awesome.
We should say it's Julie Goodnight. I don't think I ever said her name, but
Julie Goodnight. Yeah, sorry, Julie. Julie Good. Well, Julie goes without saying. You don't even have to say
yeah,
Goodnight,
exactly.
Right?
It's like Madonna.
She's like Madonna. She's just Julie. But yes, Julie was on my cover. Actually, before she was in the 50 Most Influential Women, and I got to interview her, and I just had a ball with Julie because we talked about her son Hunter, who was recently in a pretty bad motorcycle accident and is doing so well, and we're so grateful for that.
Oh, is he? I was wondering about that.
Yeah, he's on his way back. He's got a long road, but he's on his way back to a full recovery, and so we're grateful for that. And but I had such a ball with Julie talking about Hunter when he was my son's age, and how we talked a lot about being a horse-loving mom and having a kid that's not necessarily a horse person, and that's sort of how she is with Hunter. And it's a hard thing. It really is. And a lot of people, and I don't mean to get off tangent here, but a lot of people don't understand how difficult it is for a horse person to have children, and then those children are just like horses. Are you kidding?
Yeah, right. Especially somebody like Julie who's so immersed in it.
Absolutely. But, she was great. She was like, Hunter was my helper. He would pick hooves, he would feed, he would do whatever and I got him a pony and he did ride, but, it just wasn't his bag. So, but I picked Julie because, wow, horse master, and now she's on RFD TV, getting it done with the big boys, right?
Yep.
And having these amazing shows that so kind of change the scope of what you see on RFD TV. Going and helping specific people and letting you know about those people and their problem, and really letting you get to know those people and feel and empathize with them, and then fixing the problem so that you can feel like, wow, I can do this too. So I just think Julie is magnificent and completely influential, and she is not even on the precipice of what she will do for this industry.
And the next one you have up is Sylvia Scott.
Right, and a lot of people don't know Sylvia. Sylvia has probably the most comprehensive website on natural horse training in the world, and it's called naturalhorsetraining.com. And she has a background in psychology, but the biggest reason that she's influential to me is because of this amazing website where you can find the answer to any question, find any trainer in your area. I mean, you just would not believe it. It is bigger than Moby Dick. It's huge.
Great.
So she's
so
awesome.
That's Sylvia Scott, and it's naturalhorsetraining.com. And the next one, I have to say, I interviewed, was one of my first interviews years ago on a different show I did. And that's, everybody knows her, Stacy Westfall.
Absolutely. To me, Stacy Westfall is to today to the horse industry what Mary Lou Retton was to gymnastics.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she's been on Ellen DeGeneres. She's just brought reining and riding full to the mainstream, and that is one of my biggest goals with Horse South, and with my goal for what I want to do for the horse industry is I want to bring the horses more mainstream, so more people will be involved with them and understand what they can do for you. And Stacy is just the poster child for that.
Yes, I totally agree with you. If she wasn't in the top 10, I was going to have an issue with your list. No, that's
Absolutely.
great. She's great. And then the next one I just saw at an event down in Florida, spent a little bit of time with her, and she's been on the show before, and we just had fun chatting, and that is Jane Savoy.
Jane Savoy. I call Jane Savoy the Zig Ziglar or Tony Robbins of the horse world.
That's a good analogy, too, actually, come to think about it.
Right.
Zig Ziglar, I was in sales for years, and, we lived by Zig Ziglar.
Absolutely. So Jane is not only, the consummate dressage professional and wonderful in that, but she is incredibly motivational and just, really a phenomenal person to listen to.
And a natural-born marketer. She knows,
oh, my gosh.
She knows marketing better than anybody.
I think so, too. But she's all about visualization, so that's...
Yep.
She's actually mentioned in the book, The New Psycho-Cybernetics, which I won't go on a tangent here, but we could talk about that sometime.
Well, Jane, good job, Jane. And we'll be having Jane back on the show, I'm sure, a couple times this year. She's just she can come on anytime she wants. So we have a good time talking to Jane. And then the next person I met actually for the first time in Florida a couple weeks ago and got to spend a little bit of time with, and that's Lynn Palm.
Yes, Lynn, I'm sure you're aware, started an event called Women Love Horses a few years ago. It was a dream of hers that one day she would have an event that women could come to and they could bond over their love of horses and shop and have an intimate type setting with the horsewomen they admired. And that's where I first met Lynn, was at her event. And she is really an amazing person, and a little bit right up front, a little shy. So sometimes I think people are taken aback by that, because I think anytime you have a clinician that's out in the public spotlight, you certainly don't think of that person as being shy. And Lynn is, maybe that's the wrong word, but
I think she's
right
just a
off
little,
the bat.
she's, when you first meet her, she's just a little bit reserved.
Right. And I don't want us to run into time, but I have to tell you the funniest story about Lynn Palm, because we were at the Virginia Equine Extravaganza one day, and she was showing me a trailer that she helped EB Trailers design, and she was just pointing it out and telling me all about it, and we were just walking around it, and some ladies came up, and Lynn had on a ball cap, and she's a pretty lady, but she wasn't decked out in like I'm Lynn Palm stuff.
Yeah, she wasn't in her outfit.
No, and so the lady came up and was like, well, can you tell me about the trailer? And so Lynn is now selling this trailer to this lady. And finally I went, this is Lynn Palm. And the lady was like, oh, my gosh, I'm so sorry. And Lynn never let on. She was just like, oh, yes, and it does this and it does that. So that's my favorite Lynn Palm story.
Well, it is interesting that your top three, and we're going to get to number one here shortly, but your top three, Lynn Palm and Jane Savoy, well, your top four, actually. Stacy Westfall, Lynn Palm, Jane Savoy, and our number one, who we're going to get on the air with us here shortly. Not only are they influential horsewomen, they figured out marketing. They are the top marketers in this industry.
I agree.
And that's what makes them influential. They've managed to put themselves on the map.
Absolutely.
And it's something that we all strive for, that you strive for with your magazine, that we strive for with the radio, that they've done it. But they've also paid the dues to do it.
They have.
And that leads us to our number one. And I was so thrilled that you were able to get her on the show today. I appreciate that. I love her event. We talked about it on the show here, and we just think it's the coolest thing. I actually talked to one of the first interviews I did with Stacey Westfall when she was driving to compete in this event. So
That's awesome.
I will let you introduce her.
Oh, my number one influential horsewoman in America is Tootie Bland. And Tootie is the rock star cowgirl behind Road to the Horse. And it's a bit of a story, and we'll get into it when we call her, but a more gracious and wonderful person you will never, ever meet like Tootie Bland.
Yeah, she is. I've never met her in person. I've read about her, and she's dynamic. And you say zany is a good word for her.
Yes.
She's kind of, just like, she makes me look normal and like I don't even have ADD.
She is flamboyant.
Yes, she is, and she's a dynamo. And let's just get her on the phone and talk to her. Say, hi, Tootie. Welcome to the Stable Scoop radio show. You're on with Tess and I. Tess, who you know very well.
Yes, I do. And hi, Glenn. How are you?
I'm good. This is fun. We're having so much fun. It's interesting. We've had many of the top 10 of her most influential women on the show before, and I know them personally, which is kind of neat. And I think she has chosen well, and I love her number one pick.
Well, thank you very much. It was a little bit of a surprise to me, and I'm very honored because, as you know, the women that I'm in company with are outstanding and stellar individuals and done a wonderful, wonderful thing for the equine industry. So I'm very proud of it and thankful and humbled by the entire being number one, I guess.
Well, Tootie, we have listeners in 37 countries now and tens of thousands of listeners. Not all of them, most of them in the United States, but not all of them around the world are going to know what the Road to the Horse is. Can you tell us, just give us a Reader's Digest version of how it started and what it is?
Well, Road to the Horse was based on the concept of an individual who said you could take a horse in the morning and work cattle on him in the afternoon. That theory needed to be proven. So my husband at the time decided that he was going to take that on as a task, and what came from that was a great learning experience about natural horsemanship and the improvement of those techniques for the horse's life as well as our partnership with them. And so we started off on an endeavor that we put an event together where we would invite the top clinicians of the world, give them an untouched colt, give them 3 hours over 2 days to start this colt. And what came of it was a great understanding and an absolute, just expansive fan base in the respect that we all come there basically for education and to improve the lives of our horses and our relationships with them. And that's the single thing that has been the driving force behind Road to the Horse is the horse himself and our partnership with him.
And you've had some pretty big names. Let's qualify that over the years here.
Yes, we've been very fortunate. We've had Pat Pirelli, Craig Cameron, Clinton Anderson, Chris Cox, Stacey Westfall. The list is pretty much a who's who of natural horsemanship in the clinician world, and we're very proud that they have endorsed what we're doing and come to the event. And now we established the World Championship of Colt Starting, and it's been a win-win for everyone.
And you're selling a few tickets, too.
I do sell a few tickets. Yeah. We have, our tickets actually go on sale the second Monday of May every year, and we do have a sellout crowd of 6,000, and we'll probably turn away about 2,000 people a year. So we're kind of looking for larger venues, and so we can accommodate everyone.
Well, you're
not
in Texas. I hear the Dallas Cowboys have a stadium.
Yeah, they do.
That would be an expansion.
That would be quite an expansion, yes.
That would be awesome.
Actually,
round pens in Texas.
Yeah,
Stadium.
that's right. I think that'd be cool. You could have the cheerleaders there rooting them on.
I actually gave that calendar to my nephew this year. My brother didn't think that was such a good idea.
I would love it.
Glenn,
Yeah, go ahead, Tess.
I'd like to interject. Tootie is very humble by saying that Road to the Horse has been fortunate to have these big names, but what's in actuality true is Road to the Horse has kind of hit a paradigm where now Road to the Horse can make a career out of a clinician. And people vie. People drive Tootie crazy trying to get into Road to the Horse. I mean, that is like the number one goal. Anybody coming up, when I interview new people, new talent, that's the number. Can you get me on the Road to the Horse? I heard you know Tootie. And I'm like, nope, I don't know her.
Well, I'll tell you, Tootie, my co-host, Helena, who couldn't be with us today, keeps saying to me, when are we going to go do a show from Road to the Horse? And I said, well, we're going to have Tootie on. We'll have to talk to her about that.
Yeah, when are you?
Well, that's a good question. And well, let's just say that you're March 6th and 7th this year, and you're in somewhere in Tennessee. His name I can't even say. Murfreesboro.
Murfreesboro.
Which is near?
Is 20 miles outside of Nashville.
Oh, see, then it gives you something to do in the evenings, too.
Yeah, we have plenty to do in the evenings. We run from 8 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night. So.
And then you can go hit the strip down there with the speakeasies in Nashville.
Yeah. We have to have a confidentiality statement about that.
And I guarantee you're going to see Tootie down there.
Tootie's been down there in Tootie's. They have Tootie's bar down there, so I thought it was my duty to at least check it out, don't you think?
Well, we're only going to come do the show there if we get to go with you after down to Nashville.
Where? What was that?
I said we're only going to come do the show at the Road to the Horse if we get to go out with you to Nashville after.
Oh, that's a given. That's in
all right.
Contract.
Well, that sounds like fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're all contractually tied to the night loss, you know?
Yes, and I don't have I own the Horse Radio Network, so I don't really have that morals clause, so I'm okay.
Let me tell you, that's a good fit.
Hey, let's talk about who you have coming this year.
I have returning champion Richard Winters, which Richard has been a clinician for several years and very prominent in the reining horse industry. But I do think I'm very proud to bring Richard from Ojai, California, with the California Spanish Californio style of horsemanship, and put him in Road to the Horse. I think he did an outstanding job last year. He is the consummate of the quiet but deadly weapon. You know, he is just absolutely such an easy goer and mover and does things with such ease and accomplishes so much. So we're very proud that Richard has accepted to come back. And then we've got the firecracker of all firecrackers, and that's Craig Cameron.
I was just going to say, and also you're selling 6,000 tickets to 90% women who want to just come see him.
Probably so, yeah. I've thought about doing a shirtless Road to the Horse.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe, you know.
You will need Dallas Stadium then.
Hey, that's a thought.
Tess is going to cover that one, too.
I like it.
Craig is absolutely fantastic. He's been to the Road to the Horse a couple of times. You are certainly entertained with Craig's personality. He is the chili and chili pepper, and he comes with great horsemanship when it comes. And then Ken McNabb, which has been we've referred to him as the current-day Roy Rogers. Just a wonderful gentleman, family man, a horseman, and Ken does a wonderful job at Road to the Horse, and he brings a very unique style as well. So we've got a pretty good cowboy cast this year, you know, that will really bring true horsemanship to the forefront. So
yeah,
I'm
you got a good
excited
group
about
this year. I think so.
You want to bet on any of them?
That would be a tough one this year. I can. Well, see, now I got to ask you about the next thing first, and then I'll place my bet.
Okay.
And it goes back to my previous statement about women being in your audience. You're doing something different this year with the voting, right?
I am absolutely.
Talk about high-tech new media fun stuff.
I know it. I think it's exciting myself. One of the things that Road to the Horse is always ever changing, and we will never sit still. We're always pushing the bar. We want to bring new and exciting things to Road to the Horse all the time. And of course, as you know, the age of technology is here. The other thing that we have going in our favor that I want to recognize is the absolute educated fan base that we have. We have great horsemen in the audience. We have people that have great knowledge and come there with a pure heart to see great horsemanship. And I'd like to give them a voice this year in that. So that's what we decided to do. We are going to text message this year on a voting system for the audience fan vote. And it will be a one-time vote. They will be able to text it, and it will immediately go to our gorgeous, beautiful, high-tech, high-dollar LED screen that we're going to have put up in the Coliseum this year. And we will get to see 50 points awarded to the clinician with the most votes, 30 to the clinician with the second largest vote, and 20, of course, to the third. And those will be added to our judges' scores. So our audience has an influence this year.
American Idol comes to Road to the Horse.
Well, the one thing I want to make perfectly clear here is Road to the Horse is never going to be a popularity contest. We'll never allow that to happen. But we do want to at least hear from the fans. And so that's what we've done with our text.
So you will still have the judges, too?
Absolutely. Yeah. We have 5 judges. They have the majority of the points. And we will only add these points to the judges' scores. There is one time through my research in the history of Road to the Horse where it would have changed the winner. But the difference between first and second in that particular year, and no, I'm not going to say who it was only 3 points. Now, if you take 690 points times 5 judges and throw the high and the low out, you can see how close that really was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it will be fun.
And two, Tootie, aren't you printing the judges' scorecard, what they use in the program, and that's what people are supposed to go by so that they can learn exactly how the judges and what criterion the judges are looking for in each category too, right? Am I correct on that?
Yes, you're absolutely correct. That's part of the education process, and I had this question asked to me just yesterday, and I'm going to be honest, I don't have a good answer for it. Why haven't we publicized the rules and the judging sheets before? I don't know. We just didn't, And so I think that with looking at the judges' sheets and seeing what the judges are looking for, it's also a great education to the general public. We get into those fine, wonderful details of horsemanship that are so ultimately important at the end. So, yeah, we're going to publicize all of that.
Well, can you buy a membership and watch this on video online then for the people who can't make it?
We have tried that in the past,
okay,
and we are not doing it this year.
Okay.
We have some plans in the future that we will be involving television media as a medium to show Road to the Horse, because we do get individuals. Our average in a year is 8 countries, international countries, that come to Road to the Horse. We've had everyone from New Zealand, Australia, Paris, France sends a contingency and a publication out there every year. And, the list goes on. Uruguay, Paraguay.
Wow.
Just, amazing amounts of travel that people come to see Road to the Horse. So
that's great.
It's an international event now as well.
Well, that's super. I'll tell you what, I love your event. I love the idea of it. I like what it's doing for the horse world.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just think that it's one of those events that crosses lines, that, if you're into English, you can come watch this. If you're into Western, it doesn't matter. And we need more events like that. It's what we try and do here a little bit on the Horse Radio Network. And, I just think that Extreme Mustang Makeover, there's some of those events that are just unique in this country and are really changing the face of of entertainment and horsemanship.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think, if any of the things that hopefully will, be thought about is that we did kind of start a newer phenomenon, and that is where the horse is the important part. The disciplines are secondary. Our relationship with that horse, whether we ask him to jump a fence or turn a barrel or trail ride or become our child's, companion and educator, is important. And it starts at the beginning. And that's where Road to the Horse begins, is in the beginning. And we're excited about it, and we have a wonderful event planned this year. And I will say this is a new thing for us as well this year, is the AQHA is come on as a partnership with Road to the Horse.
I noticed that.
We also are able, therefore, to promote some of the great ranches, the 100-year-old plus ranches throughout the United States, and bringing their remudas to Road to the Horse. And I'm very blessed that I get to have that opportunity to bring those ranches to the forefront, and those individuals that have had those long years of breeding and bringing the AQHA, forward, need to be recognized. Those individuals are family situations, and they've spent their lives to the American horse and the American quarter horse. So we're really excited about the AQHA coming with us.
And you should be. They have a few members.
Yeah.
And Tootie, I have to say, on a personal level, there's no cowgirl that looks better in a cowboy hat than that picture of you on the homepage there at roadtothehorse.com.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. You should see me when I'm actually out working cows. Maybe the hat's not quite that clean,
I figure there's a different hat for that.
Yeah, there's a different hat. That's one of the things, too, is important to me, is that, in life we're faced with all kinds of challenges, and I think that if you believe, you can overcome a lot of things. And I've learned how to ranch and farm and had the great opportunity to bring Road to the Horse to the forefront. And it's just been quite an adventure, and I'm very blessed to have had it.
Well, and we always think about, it's true of any of us that are entrepreneurs and have built businesses, and the ones that are successful especially have had many failures and obstacles along the way, and I know you've had those with this, and you've overcome them and made it into one of the premier events in the United States, and you're to be commended for that.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you so much. There's a lot of wonderful people out there doing a lot of wonderful work. So, I'm just absolutely...
I know. You're just a rancher from Texas.
I am. I'm just a cowgirl. That's what I tell Tess all the time. I'm just a cowgirl. I'm mostly covered in... Well, I won't say.
Yeah, but you know what? That makes us love you even more. So.
That's right.
And being a horse husband...
Help me put feed out this afternoon in the snow.
Sure,
in our tractor?
Being a horse husband who married into this. Thank you so much, Tootie. We appreciate you being on with us and taking the time. What I'd like to do, if we could, is maybe the end of February, is just get you or somebody from the organization back on for a couple minutes to just talk about it right before the event. That would be great.
Sure. That would be wonderful. We would be very honored, and absolutely. And I do. I extend to you a public invitation. I will roll the red carpet out for you if you'll just come and see Road to the Horse.
Oh, geez. Now I'm going to be buying airline tickets for my co-host, and you just set that up. Although for me, it's not far. Tootie, we might take you up on that this year just because it just sounds like a whole lot of fun.
It is.
You have no idea.
You have to experience it. I mean, at least once in a lifetime, because as good as we might be at our film end of it, we still cannot capture the air and the excitement that happens inside that building. And it is electrifying, and I think Tess can say the same thing, when she's
Absolutely.
there all the time.
It's a legacy. It's absolutely a legacy.
All right. Well, then we're going to talk. We'll do a special episode of Stable Scoop from the Road to the Horse. I think that would be a great thing. And I think what we can do too is we can offer you a little bit more exposure internationally, and get the word out and try and create some of that excitement overseas in those 37 countries for one of the cool things that we're doing right here in the South in Tennessee. So.
I have a little international note. Is Road to the Horse is looking and planning for an international match. So
ooh, there you go.
I think y'all better get ready.
Thank you, Tootie. We'll give you. We'll be in touch here.
Okay, that's wonderful, and thank you so much for having us.
Well, Tess, I appreciate so much you being here today and setting that interview up. She is just delightful.
She is absolutely a dynamo and one of the most precious people I know, and it's an honor to be here, and I thank you for the opportunity to introduce Tootie to even more people because everybody needs to know her.
Yes, and, I'm glad, too. And, we're going to have to do that. Are you coming over to Road to the Horse this year?
I would not miss Road to the Horse.
Oh, you're coming? So you definitely are coming?
I'm absolutely coming.
Then we're just going to have to come. We're going to have to come down and do a show from there, so we can. Wouldn't that be fun? We could just all do that.
I can guarantee you it'll be fun.
By the way,
you better wear your big boy britches.
Craig Cameron is my pick, by the way, I think.
Oh, Craig Cameron is a friend of mine, Lisa, wrote one year that the price of admission to Road to the Horse is worth just getting to hear Craig Cameron laugh.
Yes, and he's so entertaining.
He is. He is,
and not to mention the best-looking guy in the country. I mean, it's just.
Well, he certainly he does look good in his chaps for an older gentleman. I won't complain about him. And in his sunglasses, and when he rides backwards, got a whole lot of leaving left to do.
Well, Tess, this has been a joy. We want to say that you are at horsesouth.com. Now, is your magazine a subscription? How does that work?
Yes, it's a subscription. You get 8 issues for a whole $7. So
that's affordable.
Really, yeah, it's not going to break the bank, and we think it's worth every penny, and think that you'll love it.
I do too. I think it's worth it. People should check it out at horsesouth.com. And we appreciate you being on, and I will put links to everybody, to all the top 10 here, to their websites, and also over to your website in our show notes at stablescoop.com. Helena will be back next week, and we just want to take this opportunity, being that this show is out on the 31st, from Horse South Magazine and from everybody at the Horse Radio Network, to wish everyone a very happy New Year, a safe New Year, and a New Year filled with horses.
Absolutely.
You want to add anything to that, Tess?
No, I just want to thank you again. It's been an honor, darling, and I really appreciate the opportunity. All
right, you can find all our show notes at stablescoop.com. You can drop us an email through the website there. You also, don't forget, you can subscribe through iTunes or Zune, and we have all the other shows on the network at horseradionetwork.com. Well, until we meet again next week, Tess, it's been a pleasure, and Helena, we'll see you next week. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.